A lot of sunlight today, and it is heating up. Although, with that said, summer is almost over when you think about it, huh? And with that in mind, what did I read today? How about this one? When it comes to flying drones around city, I guess a lot of people are worried about things like safety per se. And what's this? Are we going to get space-age technology? This one says NASA tests tools to assess drone safety over cities. A future with advanced air mobility aircraft populating the skies will require the US to implement enhanced pre-flight planning that can mitigate potential risk well before takeoff, and NASA is working to develop the tools to make that happen. Pre-flight planning is critical to ensuring safety in the complex, high-risk environments of the future airspace. Timely, predictive, and up-to-date risk assessment with a single platform makes it much easier for drone or air taxi operators to check flight plans for high-risk concerns. NASA is working on tools to deliver those services, and in June, the agency and aviation safety company ResilientX Inc. demonstrated how these tools can be integrated into commercial systems. So it sounds pretty basic overall in general, where the person submits their flight plan, it goes through a risk assessment of sort, and I guess they get the result to determine whether or not they can proceed or if they need to modify something to adapt to it. For the most part, a lot of places do this already, but they have to manually verify it, for example. But I'm guessing here it'd be more like a shared database where people can instantly see their results versus someone having to manually go in, verifying it, and then say, okay, well, you can't do this because this is here and so forth. In my opinion, it's just basic traffic management like we do for everything else. You don't need to classify everything as the exact same thing. For example, a 2-gram drone that's a toy is the same thing as a 25-kilogram drone meant to transport items and all that. Or at the same time, with like some basic common sense, there's no way there should be a huge passenger drone plane per se, or a plane in general, flying through this trail right now with all these trees and so forth. There just seems to be a little bit more common sense in my opinion. Although with that said, in terms of a huge drone, but the point still remains, they should not be, I guess, around the area normally. This one apparently says a military drone crashed around a beach area. This one says long-range drone involved in military exercises crashes on Kenai Peninsula beach. An ultra-endurance drone roughly the size of a small plane crashed along the beach near Nilichik on Wednesday morning, according to aviation authorities. The crash involved an aircraft with a 36-foot wingspan known as Vanilla Unmanned, built for days-long endurance flights and involved in several military flights, including some in Alaska in recent years. The drone was participating in an ongoing military exercise in Alaska, Arctic Edge 2025, as part of ongoing experimentations and technology demonstrations in the Arctic. Becky Farmer, U.S. Northern Command spokesperson, wrote in an email. The FAA and National Transportation Safety Board are investigating the cause of the crash. Did they try to mitigate it? It says the drone's operator reported losing contact with it around 7 a.m. Wednesday, according to Clint Johnson, the NTSB's Alaska chief. It was found crashed on the beach after losing engine power and hitting the bluffs that line Cook Inlet in the area, he said. Well, again, accidents are going to happen, but it still remains true. Like I said, this stuff shouldn't be flying in these types of areas normally that low. And I was reading this today, which is a follow-up story. Remember that tragic incident here where somebody drove their vehicle at the Lapu Lapu Day festival, killing a bunch of people? Well, apparently there's a media blackout, I guess, on what's happening inside the courtroom, but some details came out in terms of what's currently going on. Like this one here says legal arguments heard in fitness hearing for Vancouver festival attack suspect. Now, I don't think that's going to make people happy if this is going to be, again, one of those situations where the guy is going to be deemed mentally unfit and all that, and let's just say he gets a clear because of that. But what's going on here is that the defense lawyer for the man accused of killing 11 people at Vancouver's Lapu Lapu Day Festival earlier this year has concluded legal argument about whether the client is fit to stand trial. Adam Kaiji Low faces 11 counts of second-degree murder and is accused of driving an SUV through a crowded street. Low, 30, appeared by video in provincial court in Vancouver wearing a dark blue sweatsuit. The legal arguments from defense lawyer Mark Schwartz and Crown prosecutor Michaela Donnelly come after 2 forensic psychiatrists were called as expert witnesses in the fitness hearing. Dr. Robert Lacroix and Dr. Rakesh Lamba testified over 2 days last month, but a publication ban prevents evidence at the hearing from being reported. But again, here, I'm guessing the big question is, will the guy in some way get a pass due to things like, quote, mental insanity? What would you think about that in this case with how many lives the guy took too? It seems like in so many cases, it's always the victims that suffer even more because of the way the system is overall, huh? All right, see you guys later.